Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do Leetcode question 56 merge intervals. So let's take a look of the question. Given an array of intervals where intervals I equal to star I and I, merge all overlapping intervals and return an array of the non-overlapping intervals that cover all the intervals in the input. And we have two examples. As we can see, this array, we need to merge the first interval and the second one because there's some overlap. 3 is greater than 2. And after we merge these two interval, it can become a new interval 1.6. And since 1.6 is there no overlapping with 810, so we keep moving, and the last interval in this array is 15, 18. No overlapping, so we need to return the new array with 3 intervals. None of them overlap with each other. And the second example, here we can see 1 and 4, and the second one is 4 and 5. The second element of the first interval is equal to the first element in the second interval. So there's an overlapping. We need to merge these two together and then return 1 and 5. So in this question, what we can do is first we need to sort these intervals according to the first index of each small interval. After we finish the sorting, then we can start to iterate the array from the the first one to the end. And in this process, we can merge the overlapping intervals and push the overlapping part into our vector. So that's pretty much about what we can do in this question. So let's get started. We first need to sort this array. We need a helper function to help us to sort the first column of this array. Okay. After we sorted this array, we have a vector to save our result. Before we iterate the array, we first need to consider the corner case. If there are no interval in this array or just one interval in this array, that means we can just return the interval itself because we have nothing left to compare with the interval. So let's add it at the beginning of the code. If interval size less or equal to 1, then we can just return this interval. Okay, so after we finish there with the corner case, then we just have the general case, which means we have at least two small intervals in this array. So we first need to compare the first two small intervals. Is there any overlapping? No matter if there is or not, we have to save the first element into our result vector, because only by that way we can compare the element in the result with the intervals array. So let's first compare it. If the second element is greater than the first element of the second interval, that means, at the same time, we have to pay attention. The second element of the first interval also should smaller or equal to the second element of the second interval. Only in this case we can merge these two intervals together. So actually we have two conditions. The first one is the second element in the first interval should greater or equal to the first element in the second interval. And we also need to satisfy the condition. The second interval, or the second element in the first interval is less or equal to the second element in the second interval. Okay, so in that case, that means we can merge the first two interval together. Then we push our result. Okay, so in other case, we just push the first interval of the array into our result vector. After we already have the first element in our result vector, then we can start our iteration of the original array. And we can start from the second interval. Oops. Size. So actually we need a start index pointing to the position of our result vector. So I think this pretty much similar to this condition, and I just copy here, and here we compare our result. Oh, actually we are res, and start with and also so the very obvious example is just consider our interval just have two small interval. One is 1 and 3, the other one is 2 and 6, and 3 is greater than 2, and 3 is smaller than 6 at the same time. So we need to merge these two together. What we need to do is update the original result, which is 1 and 3. We change the 3 into 6 because the interval after overlapping is 1 and 6. So we update the value in our res vector. That means it should be and there is another possibility is there are no overlapping happen. So we just put the interval into our res vector. So in this case, we do No. Since we added a new interval into our res vector, that means we need to update our start index, because next time what we compare is the latest interval which I push into my vector and to the interval array. So I should update start. And for the other case, that means we don't need to update my res vector. So I think we can return res. Okay, let's run the code. No. I'm sorry guys, I just have some error of my helper function, but there are no other issue of the code. So let's analyze the running time. The sort function actually cost log n, and in the general case, the running time should be O n log n. And space complexity, since we save the interval into our vector, then it should be O(n). Okay, hope you guys enjoy it, and see you guys in the next video. Bye.